Welcome to the MYBcast, a channel offering podcasts devoted to the art and science of somatic touch therapy. Somatic touch therapy is an alternative for self-care that recognizes the important role the body plays in our day-to-day life. We are fascinated with the mind-body connection, and so are the people we talk with. From pioneers who helped to originate or develop this work, to seedlings of somatic mindfulness who have adopted principles of this work in their massage practices, our guests will uplift, educate, and inspire you. Thanks for joining us. Please like, subscribe, and share. Now let's join our hosts.
Welcome back to the Portraits of the Pioneers. We're in episode 3 with Dr. Fernando Rojas, and I'm with my co-host, Anna Marie Bowers. Hello, Anna Marie. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, Richard. Thanks.
Are you enjoying this conversation with Dr. Rojas?
I'm having so much fun.
Let's put it to the test. How much fun are you having? Okay. Well, I'm going to start episode 3 off by simply saying we've been talking for the first 2 episodes about something very important called somatic mindfulness. And that is, in fact, what Fernando is working with. That's the name of his classes. That's the name of his courses that he teaches. And what I'd like to do in this 3rd episode is talk about where is this going? Where do you see this going? I'll start with very simply saying you have your first book out, which is available on Amazon or wherever else you buy good books. Where are you rolling in 2026, Fernando?
Well, if we're starting with a book, the point of writing that book, it was to this feeling, right? The feeling of not leaving anything unsaid, right? If it's important, if we're seeing transformations where someone makes a shift in their life and then they're changing other people's lives, it seems like it's a good balance from what the other stuff that is always hitting us on the news and so on and so forth. I'm sure that the noisier stuff is the stuff that is controversial or painful, or sad. But this work that we do is sort of grassroots. And so one person changes themselves, and then they change another 100 people, and so on. And so that becomes to feel meaningful. It feels like what yoga people call dharma, right? Like, oh, so there is something here. There's something here about having a purpose. And so there is a meaning component to this work for sure. And speaking of books, I am in the process of finishing a second book, and I just want to say that I am blessed to have had Dean Juhan write the foreword for me. Again, it's like my uncle in this work. Like, it's my direct line, to the lineage, because I never met Milton. And so I've had many other really good teachers, but Dean has that, uncle feeling. Uncle and aunts is what are called in Hawaii the masters. And so that second book is coming out. As far as where this work can go, that's a good question, right? Because if you go by what this is supposed to be, this is not that, right? This is not a new modality. We're not creating little Fernandos. We're not creating little somatic mindfulness practitioners out there. We are inspiring people to be uniquely themselves. And so we may touch a life that never sounds like somatic mindfulness, right? And so the way that this is successful is not a way that maybe can be easily put in a math calculation. And the work has, in a sense, taken a path, it has a life of its own. And it started with one state now it's up to like 8 states, remote classes, people from Croatia, from Israel, from the Czech Republic, you know, it's kind of in Canada. So it's kind of interesting where this is all going, for just a kid from some godforsaken island, right? And so I think that the answer to that question is the same answer to the same way we come to a table, right? It's going to be a conversation, going to be open to what it can be, and it's not going to have a business plan because I don't want to limit the possibilities of what it can do. And so next year is already booked in a sense, and then we'll be open to different opportunities. I will say that this is primarily for body workers, but I've had some interaction with other kinds of fields like social work, with nursing. I even teach physical therapists and chiropractors in one particular facility. So who knows? We'll see.
Taking touch to a level that is accessible to the people that need it. We're working in a community of body workers, and just the healthcare community, nobody's touching. And the massage therapists that are the ones that are doing the touching, they're burning themselves out. We're working with the New York Medical Massage Group, and the person who's the president of that group shared an interesting statistic with me the other day, saying that, do you know that female massage therapists are, I think she said, the fourth or the fifth highest group of suicides in the nation? No, I didn't know that. And if you think about it, we're, with all the traumas that are going on right now, we're in a very, very interesting shift, and people need somebody to be able to talk to and help them release this emotional buildup that's inside their bodies. And that's what I've been experiencing in your classes, is that those people are showing up in those classes because they have a calling to do just that.
Yeah. And if it fits the formula because it starts with them. The biggest shifts we've seen is on the therapists themselves. That's where the whole healer things come from. And and speaking of big statements, and again, you just have to go and read The Body Keeps the Score and read about somatics and so on. We, people who touch people, are uniquely positioned to help people work to see transformation in their, what we would call now, traumas, right? Not as a method for an application of a technique that is specific to that, but as a way of creating the conditions for something to happen that is the intelligence of the body. We have a good friend now who is a participant who had really, really deep trauma, like, in one of its biggest expressions, who is now someone who is helping others go through their own traumas, because she is so adept at knowing that it can, that can transform. And I struggle with words because I don't want to say release or any of that stuff, because there's no such thing, right? The event is always going to be sad. It's always going to be sad to revisit an event that has been the source of a trauma. It's just that we're bringing the body to the current year. When you ask a soldier what year it is, it'll say it's this year, now 2025. When you ask the body what year it is, it'll say 1969. Right? And so it is an embodied process, and it is, as The Body Keeps the Score says, it's not analytical. can't talk yourself out of trauma. We body workers have a very important role to play in that sense.
Have you thought of working with parents as a group? Because I'm thinking as you're speaking now how useful this would be for parents to create conditions for their children, like you started.
Mhm. Yeah. So I haven't thought about it. I just know that I am a dad first, right?
Yes,
Foremost. And if it may not be me, right? But it will be someone.
someone. Yes.
The 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 the, the value of why, I say in my classes that if you tell me that you want to write a book or that you want to become a teacher, I become a pest to you, because once you express that, then it becomes a responsibility, not a nice to have, right? Because if there is something that you're seeing that actually has the potential of changing a life, making someone else's day better, then it is your responsibility to spread that somehow. And these classes, all these thousands of people now that somatic mindfulness has been exposed to, right? I often say, I come to this class for one of them. One of them is going to have an opportunity to transform your life. And if you do, you're going to transform someone else's life. And so that's the best way, right? That's the best way for it to spread to whatever expression is there, right? And so body workers will do it in their own unique way. Any other person that is exposed to this that has another field or another interest, then it is so accessible, because this is going to be applicable up until the time that androids start showing up. But as long as we're human, this is going to apply.
What, you mean you haven't thought about working with robots?
Oh my God. That was
Well,
one of the major reasons that the New York Medical Massage Group brought in somatic mindfulness to their community. I kid you not, this is a real concern. And the bottom
Sure.
line is we had a class down in the Wall Street area just a couple of weeks ago. And there was a moment, and there's always somebody in the class that has a moment. And here was a person who's been with this group for a number of years, and she just had an incredible aha moment. And I'm not going to go into the details, but it was clear there was a major shift, and we were present for this person to shift in that. And after that happened, I just said to Christina, I says, I don't think you're going to find robots that can do this. And
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah, but that's not to say that I won't put it to the test.
Yeah, thank you for that. I love it.
I will tell you this, though, and this is an important, you could say, nuance.
Yes.
When we're applying a technique, that's okay, and that can have its effects, right? But when we understand this as having a conversation where seeing, hearing, and accepting is the point of the conversation, then the transformation takes a little bit of a twist, right? And it goes from, okay, I feel a little better, to, oh, something actually changed, right? And this is what we see over and over again, right? It is subtle, it's almost slippery, right? Because feeling good is fine, right? But if transformation actually happens, and it's transformation that you discover, right? As opposed to I decided something is not what we're after. It's I discovered that something happened. That's what we're after. And that's the other side of the practice, right? I do the practice, I practice the scales, and then I go play a piece of music, and I discover that my fingers move easier. That's the point. I engage with a practice. I put my faith in a practice, and then I stay open to see what changes. And the more that I'm open to seeing the little changes, the more powerful it becomes. Right? Oh, I usually clean my bathrooms every night. I decided to just be with myself tonight. No, you didn't decide that. You discovered that you have now an impulse to do that you're driven to do that. Right? That's the difference.
Wow. It is always a pleasure talking to you, Fernando. You you're a deep thinker, and you back it with science, which is important. And I think we're honored and blessed to have you on the show. And I am going to say this because we are coming to an end of this episode that Fernando, when we invited him to participate in Portraits of the Pioneers, he said, "I'm not a, I'm not one of I'm not one of the pioneers." And I said to him, "Fernando, you're the bridge because you've worked with a lot of people that have been on this show. You call them your teachers. You engage with them. You share stories about them in your classes, but you're sharing those stories to new generations of people that this work is going to be very important going forward. And I consider you a very important piece to the puzzle, and that's the bridge. Thank you for that."
And let me ask you too, Fernando, for people who are listening rather than watching on YouTube, how can people get in touch with you if they have found something inspirational they would like to reach out to you?
The easiest would be to go to my website, which is Somatic Mindfulness, and that is one L and two S's .co, not .com, because I couldn't find it. So it's .co, somaticmindfulness.co. I do have a Facebook and a Instagram, which is somatic.mindfulness. So I think even if you just write somatic mindfulness in the search bar, I think it takes you to something that we've done. So that would be the easiest way.
Thank you. And we look forward to hearing more about your research and your upcoming publications. The title of your first book was what again? If you could repeat that for the people who are just listening and not watching.
Sure. It's Embodied Presence and Attuned Touch.
Thank you.
That is also available in Amazon.
Okay, great. Good to know. Is there anything that we didn't ask you that you would like to share with the general public at this moment?
The hard question.
Well, while you're thinking of an answer for that, I just want to share one thing. There is a Facebook and an Instagram group that is a private group that's out there, and the only requirement that is needed is that you have taken a class, for a somatic mindfulness class, and at least understand the principles about what we're talking about, because there's a lot of sharing of information on there, and we're trying to keep it within the guidelines of what this work is. So, for those of you that have taken the class and haven't come on board to the Facebook page and all the stories that are shared in there about what people are doing, we encourage you to do that. The other thing that I want to get a little plug for the Foundation for Somatic Touch. I would love to see some SM students outside of the Traeger world, outside of Rolfing and Feldenkrais and so forth, come up with their case reports and get them posted on the foundation website. Anna Marie runs a class each month to help people do that. It's extremely important to be able to share what you're experiencing with your clients, because as we get deeper and deeper into diagnosis, and AI is a big part of that right now, if there's no material out there for AI to even reference around this work, you don't exist. So that's a big piece. So I'll get back to the question that Anna Marie just asked. I just felt it was important to say that.
Well, I also want to support that thought, right? It is important that that there are writings out there in whichever form. It is a fact that now publishing is interesting now because now there's plenty of public forums where things can be said, and that's all part of what's going to be found whenever someone's looking for something. And so it is not an example of controlling the narrative necessarily, right? But it is an example of how do I influence the conversations that my point of view is also considered, right? Because we're not coming in here to convince anyone, right? We're here to say, this is my truth. Consider it. Put it to the test. That's going to be the next t-shirt. Put it to the test, right? And then make your own conclusions. And so this is one thing that I like to say, and it's this. In order, what is mindfulness, right? Or what is somatic mindfulness, or even what somatics, right? It's a way to have a relationship with a circumstance, with a situation, with a person, or with my own body. Right? It is the way that we have that, right? And I think the most important relationship that we have is the one that we have with ourselves. Right? And I think a word that is really important to play with, right, is the word acceptance. Not acceptance as in I am a doormat and I am a victim of circumstance. It's not that. Acceptance says I am not fooling myself that what I am seeing, right, is what's actually happening. And when I say acceptance, that means what? It means that I remove from me the burden that I am not where I need to be right now. Because we often want to say, oh, I need to be more positive. I need to be more meditative. I need to eat less. I need to do this. I need to do that. And so we're always putting ourselves in the future as if where we are right now is not good enough. And I'm here to tell you that the way for us to get anywhere other than where we are now is by being fully where we are now, accept it, and consider it to be perfect. Like, look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm perfect exactly as I am right now. That's not to say that things can't change. It's just that for them to change, I have to be fully in knowledge of what it is that's happening right now. And that's perfection. That's what I offer my client when they come in. Sometimes I say, if my client comes in and they say, I am 500 pounds, I am green, and I am 8 feet tall, right? Objectively, I know that's not the case. But it's not my position not to offer you 90 minutes of you being whatever the heck is it that you want to be, because you don't get that anywhere else. And so when we offer that to a body, I accept you exactly like you are. And instead of saying, I don't like that, I want to change that, I'm saying, look, this is how this is. This feeling of acceptance is what creates the conditions for transformation to happen. If I do it to myself, then I will discover that things will change. So be a hippie, love yourself. Full.
Thank you for that. Anything else, Richard?
I am just so honored that you came on and took the time to do this, Fernando. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been an honor to be part of what you've been doing, and I think what you've planted, the seed, the apple tree that's going to grow from this is going to feed a lot of wisdom. A lot of people are going to learn from this and open up their own opportunities to explore and take things to the test, because that's where we're going. That's where we're going.
And we're honoring the pioneers, the masters, right?
Yeah.
One we'll look back to Dean, and
Yeah.
say, hey, Dean, I made this. Just like he went back to Milton, he said, hey, Milton, I did this. I made this, right? So
Yeah.
it is the way lineages work.
Yeah.
It's just that it needs to be considered a lineage and seen like.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Well, I guess this is a good point to bring this up to an end. I would love to do an episode with you and perhaps Dean Juhan, maybe when your book is ready to be released, which we're going to release on the Foundation for Somatic Touch. It's going to be the publisher. We're getting into a publishing arm, and you're one of the first books that we will be doing. And I'd love to have you and Dean talk a little bit about that book on an upcoming episode if you're willing to do that.
I would love to. I would love to. Let's make some noise.
Let's make some noise. Yeah.
Thank you so much for all of your time today, Fernando. It's been a joy. Thank you so much.
It is my absolute and utter pleasure. See you soon.
Love you, brother. Love you. All right. Come and join us for another episode of Portraits of the Pioneers. We'll see you next time. Be well.
Thank you for joining us at MYBcast. We hope you found the stories inspiring. This series has been made possible by our hosts, our production team, and our guests, whose willingness to share their personal stories is vital to educating the public about the power of somatic touch. We're all contributing to creating positive change. Thanks to our sponsors, Mind Your Body, the Foundation for Somatic Touch, and Somatic Mindfulness. Find them on the web at myb.llc. foundationforsomatictouch.org, and somaticmindfulness.co. Please like, share, subscribe, and join us again for more interesting, compelling, and heartful stories.